What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 244, and our podcast is, of course, brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, that gives a little kickback and, of course, keeps the podcast ongoing. With me is, of course, Ryan. What's going on?
You know, it's Wednesday. It's podcast time.
It is podcast
That's about it.
day.
Yeah.
I do get really excited because we do our tech stuff every week kind of by ourselves, but it's good to like be able to
come together, right?
Yeah. And have a conversation, which I really like. So everybody who is jumping in the live stream, grab a drink. I have my usual, my Monster.
It's a Monster.
Grab a drink.
Something new tonight. It's not new to me, but I haven't had one on the stream. It's some Starbucks double shot.
Oh yeah,
espresso.
you were talking about this.
There's like 5 ingredients in them. So
yeah. How many calories are in them?
140.
That's not horrible. There's only 10 in
this
my
is
Monster.
a 6.5 ounce can though.
Yeah.
So anyhow.
But yeah, grab a drink.
You know where you can get these?
Amazon.
Yeah. Amazon.
Are they cheaper on Amazon than buying them at the store?
I need to look again because I noticed they went up in price just a little bit.
A lot of things have gone up in price on Amazon.
Well, I mean, in store, like you could get like 4 of these for $5 usually. It was like 2 4-packs for $10, and now they're 2 4-packs for $11.
I see.
So,
but yeah, I've noticed a lot of like grocery household goods are becoming more expensive on Amazon, which is kind of, I don't like that because I don't like going to the store and being around people. So that's why I like to, as much as I can order on Amazon, I do typically. So, but yeah, grab a drink, grab some food. I just had some pizza from the grocery store. So, but yeah, this is our weekly tech podcast. If you are following along or you are in the live chat, check out the description of the video. That has our full show notes page where you can go ahead and follow along kind of everything that we're talking about. So it looks like this, and it has all of our stories and everything that we're going to talk about this week. We'll start off with a motherboard, which is the Gigabyte's B550i Pro B550i AORUS Pro AX. I actually have it here. You guys can see this. Look at this awesome little motherboard. It's so small.
They're so tiny, I know, right?
Yeah, like I don't want to drop it. But you can hold it with one hand. I mean, that's just how small it is.
That is a massive heatsink on the M.2.
Yeah, so the whole thing about B550 is it's cheaper than X570.
Yep.
Right? And the whole advantage of having X5, for the most part, having X570 over B550 is you get Gen 4 across the board. So all of your M.2 slots and all of your PCI Express slots on X570 will be, what's that called? They will be Gen 4. Whereas on B550, only your top M.2 and your top PCI Express slot are Gen 4. And that comes from the processor itself. So with something this small, where you only have one M.2, well, actually this board has 2, but we'll talk about that. But typically you have one M.2 and one PCI Express slot. They're going to run a Gen 4 from the processor anyways. So it makes sense to go for this, which would be a cheaper option than most mini ITX X570 boards. But Gigabyte has loaded this board up with so much. It is an absolutely amazing board. It really is. When you think about reviewing B550 boards, especially mini ITX, you kind of think, oh, it might be just kind of like lower end. It might be budget. That's kind of what you think.
We just don't expect to see all those features on number one on a smaller board and a chipset that's typically, a notch down.
Yeah. So one of the big things that really surprised me about this board, if you are worried you're going to get a 3900X or an upcoming 5000 series higher end processor, maybe the 16 core, VRM's big deal. And with this board, you get the Intersil ISL 99390s for the power stages. And these are probably some of the best power stages you can get in a motherboard. They are capable of 90 amps each concurrent output, which is like the better than most normal motherboards have. And you're only getting, I believe this is a 6+2 phase, but I mean, that's obviously because of space. But you're able to get, I think it's 540 watts out of that, which is more than enough. And they're such high quality power stages. So if you're worried about mini ITX and you're worried about power, you might be overclocking, things like that, this board has got you covered. And that's something that you don't typically see on mini ITX. So for all the overclockers out there, or people who were going to be getting, over 8 core processor, they have you covered with power design. So that's definitely a plus there. Paul is here. What is up, Paul? He got his 380. I bet that's so exciting. Like I get this stuff to review, and like you just waiting. I remember like waiting. I think last time I bought a big graphics card. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe like a 680. Thing.
That's been a while.
Yeah,
but, I mean, obviously you get them into review, right? Yeah. But yeah, no, buying a graphics card is always exciting, right? Especially if you have to wait for it, and you can't just go out and buy it. You're always checking your phone for all right, where's that Amazon notification? Or have I seen the UPS guy drive by and did he drop it off? It's always
yeah. So the second thing, going back to this motherboard, obviously, the second thing that I liked is you get the Gen 4 M.2. So one, it has this massive heatsink, which is actually partly cools your power delivery components, because you can see the heat pipe that goes over to this heatsink from those power delivery components. But under it, you get an M.2 slot, which comes with another integrated heatsink, which is really great to see. But on top of that, you actually get another M.2 on the back of the board, which you can see right here. Now, this is a Gen 3 slot, but it's still you could still have a Gen 4 and Gen 3 both running on this board and not even have to mess with the SATA ports at all. Also on the back of this, you can see it's fully enclosed in metal. It's good for heat transfer. It's good for board stability, although board stability is not a big issue when it comes to mini ITX typically.
And that's so nice. So you mentioned you don't have to worry about those SATA drives and the SATA cables, and you also don't possibly have to worry about the SATA power connections as well. And when you put a system like this with a small motherboard and a small case, just that extra room that you get from not having those cables in there can be so much better for your build and how clean it is, and airflow.
And we think of a lot of these 10-liter cases. So I think I've seen it 8-liter cases. I mean, this is a perfect board for that, because again, 2 hard drives is more than enough for most people. You have OS drive, you have a game drive, or mix and match. And with the prices of both Gen 4 and Gen 3 NVMe SSDs going down, it makes so much sense with this. If we look at the rear IO here, you get Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax. You also get 2.5 gig LAN. So whether you're plugging in or you're going wireless, you have everything covered there. There's actually ample USB slots on the back. Typically, when it comes to mini ITX, we get a couple. You're getting 2, 4, technically 6, 5 Type A, 1 Type C. You have USB 3.2 Gen 2. You do get RGB on the board. It's on the top edge. When it comes to mini ITX, I don't think RGB is a big deal, just for the fact that these are typically closed-in systems, but you also get RGB headers on the board. I mean, for me, there's really not a lot to dislike about this board. There really isn't, just for the fact that it gives you basically what you would get in an X570 motherboard, a mini ITX X570 motherboard, in a B550, which is one cheaper.
Yep.
And it's nice that you can fit, like, I fit a full-size Noctua
cooler on there,
NHU12A on there.
It probably looks just enormous sitting on top of there. And then if you put like a 3090 on there, that board's gonna look so tiny.
Yeah, I'll bring up the pictures of our test system here, so you guys can see that. But yeah, it's like that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's enormous.
Yeah, it's huge, you know. So I think, like I said, it's such a good board. There's really not a whole lot to not like about it. I think it's $179.99 right now with all of what you're getting. I think it's a great motherboard. It really is. I gave it a 10 out of 10 in editor's choice because I the only
couldn't find any flaws. Yeah.
The only downside that I did see, and again, it's very nitpicky, is that rear M.2 slot doesn't come with a thin heatsink. You're not going to be able to fit a big heatsink on the back, like one that actually came on the Gen 4 slot, but that's my nitpick about the board. But besides that, it has everything. It's like a high-end mini ITX board, but it's in the middle range because it's B550. It's just, yeah, it's awesome. So definitely check it out. I get a 10 out of 10 and editor's choice. People in the chat. So Derek Moore is in the chat. What is up, Derek? Joseph is in the chat. He said he's looking forward to a 5900X and 3070 in the near future. Sounds like a nice build. Yeah. Kosher Tech is in the house. He said, boys, what is going on? So thanks everybody for stopping in the live chat. If you have questions, if you want to talk about what we're talking about, just throw it in the chat. I still haven't figured out how to show the chat without showing. I got to get that all figured out because we have chat coming from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter all at once. So
YouTube's the place tonight.
But, yeah, yep. YouTube. Everybody's coming from YouTube right now, but sometimes we do have some people on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. So yeah, let's move on to the next review, which is I
was surprised you didn't have it on.
No, yeah, I'll tell you why I don't. Okay. So in 2015, HyperX came out with, which is almost like this, but it was wired, was their Cloud 2. Their Cloud 1 was amazing. I reviewed both the Cloud 1 and Cloud 2 and other clouds that have come out. But the Cloud 2 actually has gone on to become the best selling gaming headset from HyperX. They just sold, I don't know how many millions they've sold, but they've sold so many. And it's probably one of the most comfortable gaming headsets out there. It just is. It's so comfortable. It's the way I explain it is that if you look at it, even compared to the one that I have on right now, it's not incredibly lightweight, but it's not like a big bulky headset. They've come up with the perfect kind of mixture of quality, of cushioning, where it's still comfortable, but it's not clunky.
I mean, it's a pretty simple design, right? The metal arms that just hold the ear cups and the nice band, right? Whereas what you got on is a little, like you said, is a little bulkier. But yeah, what they've come up with is a pretty sweet headset.
Yeah. So for the longest time, even when this is the HyperX Cloud Flight S, when these came out, I was like, why didn't you make a wireless version of these? Because these are more comfortable than these. So we finally have it. We have fully wireless, 2.4 gigahertz. It comes with its own dongle that you plug into your computer. It's not Bluetooth, so you're going to have great connectivity. I think it's up to 30 feet. I walked around the one bedroom apartment that's here with no issues whatsoever with wireless connectivity. It does have 7.1 virtual surround sound. It's pretty much identical to what's in here. It's good. It's great for gaming. I pretty much would have 7.1 turned on all the time just because it sounds that good. But if you compare it to, say, like THX spatial audio, in my opinion, it's not as good. And you'll find that on like Razer headsets and a few other companies that use the THX, but it's still very good. let me bring up the reviews. We could talk about the software. It uses their Ingenuity.
Ingenuity.
And Ingenuity, if I'm saying that right. Their Ingenuity software, which is pretty basic. A lot of people hate it because it's a Windows app, so you have to buy it, or you have to download it from the Windows Store. Yeah. That doesn't really matter to me at this point. All it basically allows you to do is change the volume of the microphone, and obviously toggle those on and off with muting those. Turn 7.1 surround sound on or off, and turn mic monitoring on or off. You can do all of those via the headset without having to have the software, minus the mic monitoring. One thing that was interesting about this headset, which is one of the reasons, not the reason I'm not using it, but what it was with this headset, if say we're going to probably play Apex later, if I open Apex, the Ingenuity software on this headset does an auto optimize for Apex Legends. So it puts a surround sound profile for Apex Legends for this headset, which is really nice because I don't even have to go into software to change anything. It just does it. It's really nice. And it's actually really good for Apex Legends. It allows me to hear enemies more clearly. I think
could have fooled me on that part.
It updates the it ups the treble, if you're like playing a game, upping the treble, things like that. So for some reason with this one,
doesn't switch over.
You don't get that capability. There's no auto optimize, which is really weird to me. I don't know if it's a software thing. So that is a little weird to me. Just
hopefully that'll come with maybe an update or something.
Yeah, I would hope that they would.
That seems like something they could add pretty easy.
Yeah. As far as the microphone, I have audio samples in the review, so you guys can check that out. It's a headset microphone. It's not amazing. It's not like this microphone that I'm talking into right now. It's a headset microphone. There's only a few companies that have done a headset microphone really, really well, and HyperX isn't one of them. But again, I think most people who are podcasting, streaming, where you want that high quality, they're not going to be using a headset mic anyways. Beyond that, it's just super comfortable. It's such an incredibly comfortable headset. And I think that's where sound quality is important, but if I can't wear a headset for hours on end, it doesn't matter how good it's going to sound. It's not going to, I'm not going to use it. I'm just not. It takes a Type-C connection for charging it. Haven't run out of charge. I think they say up to 20 hours, which is pretty standard. And again, this isn't big and clunky and heavy, so you don't have a massive battery in there, but it does a really good job. With that, they include the cable, which I thought I had here, but I don't. It's not all, the cabling is not all that long for it. That's, again, I like this because I can charge this wirelessly. I can put this on my wireless iPhone charger and charge it. With this, you don't get
Got to charge it with a cable. Dang.
Yeah, you got to charge it with the cable. Again, I know that's not what this is made for. But again, it's a pretty
nice convenience factor, though, when you're coming from having that and then you get a new product that doesn't, you know what I mean? But.
So, one, if you're on a wired headset, this is going to be such a great change. Once you go wireless, you're using a wireless headset now. You don't want to go back to wired.
No, I hate like if I forget to charge this thing or something, I have to plug it back in. I'm like, ugh, get off.
Yeah, it's like
cable's holding me back.
One, it's the cable, like the cable's annoying when you go back to using a cable. It's just like, why is this cable on me? Blah, blah. Two, it's nice to get up and if I have to go use, if I want to have to go use the restroom, I can still be listening to music. I can still be in game or in voice chat with my friends. I can still hear it. If I'm on a Zoom call and I need to step out, but I still want to, the meeting is important, but I have to use the restroom or get like last week I had to go check the door because I thought somebody was at the door. I can still hear you talking or whatever's going on. So the wireless capability of this is just awesome, and it's long overdue. But comfort's the biggest thing, and quality. This headset, again, which HyperX also makes, you can see it's plastic. Where this is all metal design. You're not going to break it. It would be very hard to break it. And that's what this is all about. So it's up to you which one you choose to use. And one thing I also didn't mention is in the software, we see a lot of softwares. I go back to Razer because those are a lot of the headsets that I've used, but there's an EQ in the software where I can set levels, and there's presets for gaming, for watching movies, and that's in the creative software too. Why don't I have an EQ in this software? I don't know.
I thought I saw that on one of your images.
No,
I could be wrong. Okay.
No, there's only volume. Like in the software, there's only volume control, mic control. You can toggle 7.1. You can toggle.
There's a preset thing though.
That's not for that. That is a global preset for RGB lighting, which this doesn't have.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's nothing.
Too much. So.
Yeah. So again, I would like to see that, even if I don't have that auto optimize feature, which I talked about at length, just so I could like enable the game profile or set my own custom profile for Apex Legends. So when I can, enable that profile when I'm playing a specific game, it does make the audio experience much better. Or if I'm watching a movie on here I can make or set a movie profile, which would make certain sounds sound better and things like that. That's why creative products are so good, because they have all those profiles. That's why, again, even on this headset, the auto optimize feature is great for gaming because it optimizes the sound for whatever game I'm playing. So those are the things to take in. The headset is $149.99. It just came out yesterday. But if you're looking for a super comfortable headset that's wireless, this is definitely it. Audio quality is good. Software could be fixed and upgraded, but again, you don't even have to use the software if you don't want to. You can do everything that you want minus turning on listening to the mic live on the headset. It has a volume wheel for volume, or volume, whatever you want to call that. I guess it's a wheel. For volume, you have microphone mute. If you short press the power button while it's on, that will toggle 7.1 on and off. So you don't even need the software if you don't want, which I kind of like, actually. I hate getting products where you have to install the software. So you don't have to do that with this either. So check out the review. Like I said, I really, really like the headset. I just have been so accustomed to wireless charging and auto optimize with this. Maybe I'll wear these tonight when we game. I don't know. I haven't fully charged, so
all right.
We'll see. So yeah, check out that review. And Kosher Tech was talking about Sennheiser. Yeah, Sennheiser is one of the few companies that have done a gaming headset with a mic that sounds basically as good as this mic here. I forget which one that's called, but they've done a really, really good job on that. So yeah, we'll move on from there to Case Mod Friday, and we have I selected this because it's very interesting. We see a ton of mods. We've seen a ton of case mods of custom built PCs. That's what we like to do. We like to custom build our own PC. But this is a mod of a what is this? It's the Alienware. I forget what it is. It's the Alienware Aurora, the new one, which actually looks pretty good by itself. But Italian Extreme Modders, who we've featured a few of their builds lately, they've done this thing where they turned it into, I don't even know what you want to call that.
I mean, it looks like a sport bike.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a sport
right.
bike.
I mean, we've had those cases like for the Cougar case, and Antex made one that's similar. It to me looks like a sport bike type of.
Yeah, and it's all external. Like there's nothing done on the inside of this. Obviously, this is a pre-built, but it's cool to see what you can do in a pre-built, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people buying a pre-built are going to do something like this, but at the same time, I think it looks pretty damn cool.
No, it's sweet. And if you don't know that this is like, if you're not too familiar with what that Alienware looks like, especially from the front, right? Like from the side, you can't tell here, but from the front, it still has that like oval type shape on the front. If you want to pull, yeah, and they have obviously the Alienware logos lit up at the front. That's really the only way you can tell that this is a pre-built if you're familiar with it, because it looks like an intake into like a. Actually, now that I look at this angle, it reminds me of like on Star Wars, the little pod racers.
Yeah.
You know how they have like the crazy engines hanging off the sides? This looks like
Like a
an engine
turbine.
that would hang off the side and the intake on the front there. And all the piping
Yeah.
and stuff. No, it's very cool. The only thing I don't like about this build is on the back, the OEM like PCI slot covers are still that ugly, just bare metal that you get on every pre-built.
Oh,
They're bare, right? I wish they would have painted that black or something, just to kind of make everything match. But yeah, it does. Kosher says it looks kind of like a Ducati.
yeah,
that red coloring. Yep.
yeah. It's like I said, I just think it's cool because you don't see this. I mean, obviously, again, most people aren't going to do this if they do buy a pre-built. But I think it's cool because again, this is not just like a pre-built that's built inside of like a case that you can buy off the shelf. This is like a pre-built that's like Alienware's own case that you can only get with this, like it's their own system. So I think it's really cool. This is again done by Italian Extreme Modders. If you check out their Facebook, they like work. I think it's like a group of them, a bunch of different modders that are kind of come together collectively, and they have a lot of mods going on right now. We linked their Facebook in the post, so if you guys want to check that out. But I think like I said, I think it's really cool.
Cool.
And if you guys, I pick the mods that we feature every week, or the one we feature every week, and we featured a lot of these like bike ones, so you can tell I kind of like them. So yeah, so like I said, check it out. It is in our Case Mod Friday section on the site. And again, if this isn't your thing, I talk about it every week, but you can go on there
to look at.
Yeah, there's so many on there that you can go throughout the years. It would be interesting to see like the first like 5 that we've featured way back and see against like the most recent 5 and see how maybe trends have changed.
See how what's changed.
Yeah, maybe I should do an article on that.
That'd be all right. Yeah.
Before we get to news, we have one more thing. Our contest had just ended for the $50 gift card. I did email that person. They haven't emailed me back yet. So if you're not a winner, if that person does not email me back within 7 days, we'll be picking a new winner. But we also decided to announce a new contest today. So up for grabs is a Corsair K100 Rgb. This also recently came out. This is the new flagship from Corsair, and it is a sick, or I almost said motherboard. It's a sick keyboard. PVD keycaps. It has the one that we're giving away has their optical switches, which are awesome. They're technically more accurate than mechanical switches. They feel like mechanical switches. Obviously, you have the new what is this called? This is called their IQ control wheel. You can fully program that. It has the most RGB lighting that's ever been put in a Corsair keyboard. It's full size, awesome wrist rest. I mean, so much stuff that's on this. Check out our full review for more information on it. This is running for a full month, so you have a ton of time to get your entry in. Bunch of different ways to do it. We do it through Gleam, so you guys know how that goes. Just sign up for our email newsletter, and then you can, after you do that, you have, I think, 13 other ways to get another entry in. So you can have, I forget how many total entries you can have, but you can have quite a bit. So like I said, awesome keyboard. So definitely get your entry in for that. And we'll move on to news. And I'll just say before we get into news that 95% of the news this week is AMD. Just because that's what the leaks are and that's what's going on. So
I mean, hey, we had all NVIDIA for a while, it felt like. So
yeah. So now obviously we have products coming out soon from AMD. So we have a ton of leaks. We're going to talk about all of it. So I'm just saying that the next 6 or 7 stories that we'll be talking about are all AMD for the most part. So first we'll talk about old graphics cards. It appears, which isn't surprising, is that XFX is selling a majority of its RX 5000 series cards to mining farms, which is a good way to get rid of their stock in these cards. I don't know how mining farms actually
So it's
buy.
a concerted effort to sell them to mining farms, not just this is a statistic from them, right? This isn't a sales statistic saying, "Oh, we've just realized that most of our stock goes to miners," right?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean,
Um,
if you're getting to a point where, hey, we got a new lineup of cards coming out and we've got all this inventory, there's obviously a market for it still, and buyers out there for crypto mining. So
yeah. And again, the 5000 series or Radeon RX 5000 series is still great for cryptocurrency. I know it's not a huge thing now, but it's a good way to get rid of your inventory, especially again, we'll have Radeon RX 6000 series coming very soon. So not surprised. It's an interesting headline though, but not necessarily really surprised at that.
it's really interesting because it's like they have excess GPUs, right? Whereas like on the other side of the table from Nvidia, it's like, oh, we don't have anything. Now, obviously, there's probably still some 2000 series cards available, but it's just that drastic. We've got so many. We're like maybe even selling them at a discount to miners, and the others can't even keep them in stock to sell.
Yeah,
It's
it's very
big difference there.
So with the Radeon RX 6000 series, we have some they're not confirmed links, but they're leaks on clock speeds. So we have a Navi 20 XL and a Navi 20 or Navi 21 XL and a Navi 21 XT. The XL is below the XT. The XT is the higher end card. So we look at clock speeds. The Navi 21 XL will have base clock between 1350 and 1400 megahertz. A game clock, that's what the card will boost to when you're gaming, will be 1800 megahertz to 1900 megahertz. And then the boost clock, that is the max clock that it will essentially boost to based on cooling, based on temperature. So it will boost between 2100 megahertz, and this says maybe 2200 megahertz. So that is the card below, which is the Navi 21 XT, which will have a base clock of 1450 to 1500, game clock of 2000 to 2100, and a boost clock of 2200 to 2400 megahertz. It says the base clocks are not that high, but the game clock and boost clock are much higher than they typically would be compared to last generation. So that makes you think that these, again, this is all speculation,
Right.
but that these should be pretty decent. You know what I mean? And I think maybe that base clock is just for temperatures.
Just to keep it down.
Yeah, keep it down before
Like
you
power usage.
Yeah. Talking about power, we also got power figures or supposed power figures for the two cards as well. These come from Igor's lab, and these show that the Navi 12 or what I keep even saying 12, the Navi 20, the Navi 21 XT, it will use total board power will be 320 watts. For mostly for the GPU itself will be 235. And then they have a custom OC card would be 355 watts. And then the Navi 12 XL would be 290 watts. We've heard that 290 watts figure for a few weeks now. Not crazy power, but not low power either.
No, yeah. I mean, it finally feels like we're getting up to the point of forever we had these power supplies that were like these 1000-watt, 800-watt things, and everybody's advice was you don't need that much power. And now it feels like, okay, we're getting sort of close to it'll be nice to have that headroom that we've had in power supplies for a while. So,
so everybody knows, and Paul knows because he's been trying to get a 3080 for a while now. NVIDIA's 30 series launched. We had
not the smoothest.
Not the smoothest launch. We had scalpers. You had non-availability bots. We had non-availability of cards. We still have non-availability of cards anywhere. It's
who was it last week selling them out their eBay store?
Yeah. We've had all that stuff. Yeah. So AMD, according to this new story, that they want retailers to limit Big Navi Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards to 1 unit per customer to avoid the whole scalping thing.
We lost your video, just FYI.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know why, because it's on.
Okay.
I'll unplug it and replug. Do you want to go talk about this real quick?
Yeah, I can. Let me pull it up on my screen. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? I go both ways on item limits, but for things like this where it's a limited quantity type of release, I don't have a problem with AMD saying, "Hey, it'd really be nice if you would just set a limit on customers obviously buying, obviously in the headline, that's exactly what they're wanting to do to avoid that scalping. How they're going to limit that and prevent it, I don't know. We saw NVIDIA looking to shift their sales of stuff to Best Buy. So we'll see, maybe, they do something similar or limit, Amazon or Newegg to that. But really, if you're just setting up a new Newegg account or Amazon account and buying another one, I'm sure there's ways around it, but it'll only keep the non-criminal scheming people out. A couple comments there saying, one per customer is good for the start. I kind of agree with that. Maybe a month or a couple weeks into the release, kind of gauging how things are going and saying, okay, we're going to open up sales to, more cards per person if things look all right, just so that everybody actually gets a chance to get some product in their hands, which is nice. Back on that power supply note, Joseph says he remembers when he bought a 1,000-watt power supply and thought it was future proof. I mean, 1,000 watts right now is still going to get you a pretty beefy system, to be honest. Looks like Bob's connecting his camera back up, powering it on.
We are back.
Get him back on there. Yep, we can hear you.
I don't know what happened. I just unplugged my.
But I will say your. Oh, there it is. It caught up. It was a little. You were a little robot-y for a second, but
that little. I guess you would call it a fake cam link. I just unplugged it and plugged it back in. I've never had that happen, which is kind of surprising. It's really weird.
I thought mine was broken today, like right before I got on, because it wasn't popping up and then I realized the USB cord had come unplugged. So
yeah, I unplugged the USB and then plugged it back in, but I don't know.
Yeah,
but I am back.
No, I mean, I think this is probably a good suggestion, right? Now, whether they're going to enforce it, I don't know.
Yeah,
because companies are like, if this person's here to buy 2 of them, like I'm going to sell them 2. But at the same time, we also saw them implement, and this is obviously totally different types of items. Toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizer limits, right? So why can't they implement those limits for video cards? Obviously, 2 totally different realms, but it's not unprecedented to limit purchase quantities.
Yeah, and like I said, you can see the what they sent out to their partners. Mm-hmm. I hope if there is, I don't know. Obviously, I think. 1, you're going to have the AMD fanboys. They want the new card, right? 2, if the performance is good and the price is good, you are going to have a lot of people that want these cards. So I think that if they can do the launch right, that will also be something in their favor compared to NVIDIA. And if nobody can buy an NVIDIA card, people are going to be buying these cards. I mean, if you want a new card that's affordable, say like the highest end card is the same performance as a 2080 Ti, but it's what's the 3070 launch? $499? Say it's
I'll have to ask these questions. Yeah.
I think it's $400. I mean, you would get it, right? Especially we have holiday season coming up. They even said that NVIDIA won't have stock till next year. You have all that holiday money coming in, for Christmas, and people want to build new computers for, they get gift cards for Newegg or whatever. You have people where like that's their Christmas present is like their parents will build them a computer. If you're not going to get an older 20 series, are you? If you can get something like that. So
no.
So yeah, it's I think that's a good thing to do.
It might slow things down a little bit because some of that stuff that they want people to do is like add manual or switch over to manual processes. Obviously, that slows things down a lot.
Yeah,
and isn't necessarily feasible in an online retailer, but in store, right? There's some more options you can get away with that. But yeah,
Old Man is here. I didn't see him pop in the chat, but he said Best Buy was selling Xbox Series X, not One X. He said in waves today. About every 10 to 15 minutes, they would list a few more. Wonder if they'll do the same for the video cards when they come back in stock. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's hard to do. And again, we live in this society now where like everybody's mad, and you can't say like if you do something that's like not saying what like the scalper thing is shady. But if you do anything like that, people are going to catch on and they're going to say something. So you slowing down your sales cycle or whatever is better than the bad backlash or bad PR that you're going to get for your company these days.
Yep.
So we'll move on from graphics cards to AMD CPUs, and we've had a lot of leaks as far as certain processors being tested on Geekbench and other places where it's a public database where people can look them up. So the first one is an interesting one. So we have the Ryzen 9 5950X. That's a 16-core processor. One, it was overclocked to 6 gigahertz, which is pretty impressive. And it's interesting that it's on it says Mac. So I don't know if
OS,
nobody knows why it's on Mac. Maybe it's a Hackintosh. A lot of people are saying that it could be. But so they put it up against, again, 3900X on Mac at 4.88 gigahertz, or I guess it's 5.89. I guess these are adjusted because it can't read it in the system info. Against 6.022 gigahertz on the 5950X. And you guys could just look at this graph, which I'll bring up here. You can see again, these aren't straight comparisons because this is a 39 and this is a 5950. This is an 12 core. Sorry. This is 12 core. This is a 16 core. So big difference. You can see the difference in the scores here. Obviously, single core as well as multi-core. The big ones over here, multi-core. These are single core. But
it's a pretty good jump.
That is a very nice jump. You can definitely see that. Derek said he doesn't buy the story on 6 gigahertz on Mac. I think it's a Hackintosh. Somebody built a normal PC and then installed Mac OS on it. But again, I don't know why you would do that. Why would you do that? I had no clue either. But yeah, so that's the first leak that came out almost like right after the podcast last week.
Yep.
And then we have both the 5950X and 5900X. Those got leaked as well. And the interesting thing about this leak is that we're seeing a big jump in single core performance. So of course our article, massive single thread performance gains. And the thing that's really good about the single thread performance gain is that sadly, still a lot of games, especially games, and a lot of programs are not threaded very well, meaning that they'll use maybe 1 to 2 cores, if that. You're not going to take full advantage of your processor. We have all these cores now, but there's still most of the programs that we use don't fully utilize all those cores. Yep. There's some, like when you get into encoding videos and all that other stuff. But you're seeing really good single threaded performance. And that's something to look forward to. I think that's where you're going to see.
That's where we're going to see them come back against Intel, right? That single threaded performance. Get those gains where they've been able to say, oh, we've got the best, gaming processor. Well, that's a lot of times due to that single core performance.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a big thing. Again, these are from Geekbench Geek. I can't even talk tonight. Geekbench database. So again, these are pre-release, pre-drive, probably I assume pre-driver, all that kind of stuff. So just take that again with a grain of salt. But it is, if that is what we're seeing better single thread performance. It means we're going to have a lot of gains and mostly like applications that a lot of people use, and that's a big thing. So I do like that. The 5950X was again benchmarked. And it beat Intel's Core i9-10980XE high-end desktop chip, which again, these are Geekbench scores. And I'll just go down to the graph because that's the easiest one to kind of see the scores. So we have a good direct comparison now. So actually we have a 5900X and a 3900X right here. So here's the 12 core against, again, the 12 core. And you can see both single-threaded and multi-threaded is you're getting gains, and you're getting it as well. Again, this is a 16 core and this is a 16 core. Both single-threaded and multi-threaded, you're getting very good gains. Now, what I've heard is that you're going to get actually better single-threaded gains compared to multi-threaded. So you would see I don't think they have the actual percentages. I guess we could do the math, but I'm not good at math. But you're going to see more single-threaded performance gains than multi-core. You are going to see it. You're going to see
just not the improvement. It doesn't scale.
Yeah, it doesn't scale. Again, but again, seeing single-threaded, you're actually for the most part going to see. That's really going to help you out more. You know what I mean?
So just looking at this graph here and just kind of a side thought here, do you think people are going to be that don't keep up with the news and everything, like, we're, having a podcast every week and obviously up on things. Do you think people are going to be confused that, hey, they're going to see the 3000 series and the 5000 series and say, hey, this is 2 generations newer. Why are these gains not as high as we're expecting? Do you think that's going to be a very big market segment since we're skipping the 4000?
That's a hard thing. And that's
people just get that in their head. They're like, oh, the 3000 series was out and now we're at the 5000. I must have forgotten about the 4000, but these gains aren't that great between the two, when really it's just a naming convention that changed.
It's like, all that stuff is a hard sell for a normal
day-to-day consumer.
Yeah, day-to-day consumer. You don't know. I think that's why like I really like that we still have retailers like Micro Center and Fry's, where you can actually go in and talk to a real person, not a salesperson who really doesn't know the product, like Best Buy. Sadly, obviously a lot of shopping is done online. That's why we always say when these new products come out, read the reviews, watch the videos. That will tell you more. Also, Old Man said he was interested in benchmarks of the 3900X for 5900X. We do have them right here. And I didn't even see in the comments on this Twitter post. So we'll start at the top with the 5950X versus the 3950X. Single core improvement is 27.94%. Multi-core is only 12.3%. And then the 5900X versus the 3900XT is single core performance boost is 20.3%, where multi-core is only 3.8%. So you can see that I believe that I would, based on this, you would say that AMD really focused on single core performance, getting the most out of the single core, because that's actually what's going to benefit most people for the most part. We did see with the 3000 series, we got massive multi-core performance. It beat in all the multi-core tests, it won, but we have to remember that especially gaming and almost every program we use typically is all single core. So I think they're doing the right thing. And again, it's going to probably give them, okay, now we can say that we've come back in the gaming realm, because that's where Intel could always say we have the best gaming processor. We've had it for a while. They could always say that. So that's something that we're going to see, I would think. But yeah, so if you do plan to buy a Ryzen 5000 series processor, which I think would be, if you're going to be building a new PC, would be a good thing. Although, again, both sides are always pretty good. You're going to be happy. If you're upgrading, you're always going to be happy because it's going to be faster. You're going to get more features. It's like, I hate the people that are like, you're so dumb if you did this. And it's like, well, I'm running a quad core something, and I'm moving up to 8 cores. I'm going to be happy no matter what.
There's going to be improvements.
Yeah. But anyways, if you are buying a Ryzen 5000 series processor, you will get Far Cry 6, which looks really good because if you know this guy, this is the guy from Breaking Bad. That's the show. I'm pretty sure that's the show. Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
But he's one of the main characters in the game. Far Cry has had pretty good single player gameplay. I know there's everything is online, but so Far Cry 6, you will get it. You will get it with the Ryzen 9 5950X, the Ryzen 9 5900X, and the Ryzen 7 5800X. It says that AMD is also running a separate equipped to win promotion for the Ryzen 3 chips. So the Ryzen
Ryzen 3000 series.
Yeah. So also Ryzen 9 3950X, 3900 XT, and 3800 XT. You will get those as well. The promotion is available until December 31st. So yeah, pretty.
It's always nice to, like we say this every time. Get a new game with your new gear, right? To really push it and something to test with, something new to play.
I still like that we're doing this because I don't feel getting Far Cry doesn't make me pick Intel or AMD, right? It's not one or the other.
No.
There's never been a time where I'm like, I'm getting this because I get this. They've never had a game that was like the game. I guess maybe Battlefield, but that's stuff to me that wasn't like
that won't make me change. Like, oh, I'm spending my money here instead of there because of something they're throwing in.
Yeah, maybe Cyberpunk would do it for some people.
I guess.
But yeah, there's never been a game where it's like, okay, instead of building an Intel system and building an AMD system, instead of getting an AMD graphics card, I'm getting an NVIDIA graphics card. I always go by the numbers.
Right. Which hopefully most people do.
Shinny is in the house. He said back in the day, NVIDIA skipped from the 700 series to the 900 series. That is very true, right? Yeah. Were you confused? I wasn't confused, but I'm like in the know. So
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. It's a confusion point. It's nothing like NVIDIA's, their naming conventions for the last couple of generations and a bazillion SKUs.
Yeah. So our last piece of AMD news, so we're finally going to be done after this story, is that the Ryzen 5000 mobile CPU lineup also leaked. It's all these leaks, AMD. So it's interesting that the 5000 mobile series will be based both on, again, this is a leak, so it's not confirmed, but typically these are true. It's going to be based both on Zen 2 as well as Zen 3.
Okay.
So you have a Ryzen 3 5300U 4-core 8-thread based on Zen 2. Then you have a Ryzen 3 5400U, which is also 4 cores and 8 threads based on Zen 3. Then you have a Ryzen 5 5500U, 6-core 12-thread Zen 2. Then you have a Ryzen 5 5600U, 6-core 12-thread Zen 3. And then finally, you have a Ryzen 7 5700U, 8-core 16-thread Zen 2. Then a Ryzen 7 5800U, 8-core 16-thread Zen 3. So the higher number is the Zen 3. The lower number is the Zen 2. It's confusing.
I don't like the back and forth, but
yeah, it confuses the consumer. I can see why they do it. But again, why don't you just want instead of having 2 SKUs at the Ryzen 3 level and at the Ryzen 5 level and at the Ryzen 7 level, wouldn't you just want one? But again, these are going in laptops, so you need segmentation and pricing. I understand why
for
they
all those
do
big
it.
vendors, right? Like
Yeah.
there may be that price point that just like makes or breaks the deal as far
Yeah.
as, all right, we're gonna go with this model. Or if you had one that was, if you could meet this price point and these specs, right? So it's all that crazy business stuff, that quantities that we're talking about, that can
Yeah.
really make a difference at the end of the day. That
Yeah.
kind of
If
drive
that
some
would
of these
be,
decisions, I think.
if they did that on the desktop side, that'd be incredibly
Ugh.
confusing. And they actually did do it on the desktop side with their APUs, because while we were in 7 nanometer on the actual desktop processors, when they announced the Ryzen 3000 series G, or the 3000G, or the APUs, they were 14 nanometer or 12 nanometer. They weren't 7 nanometer. So confusing. But in any case, a really interesting story that I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, but it's a pretty big deal. Intel is, they sold, or they're going to be selling off their NAND flash business to SK Hynix for
This is pretty
$9
big news.
billion. So they're basically getting out of making their own NAND, which I don't. I mean, NAND is like a gold mine for whoever's doing it. I don't know if they just didn't want to deal with it, if they didn't want to deal with the constraints of it. I don't know why they would get out of that business, because NAND is literally in everything that we use. It's in your cell phone, it's in cameras, it's in anything that has.
And I've come across their drives quite a bit, like in business systems, right? Pop something open to swap something out, or troubleshoot something. And a lot of times I see a ton of Intel drives in those like Dell systems and stuff. So,
and it's not
I don't know. There's obviously a reason for it, but
it's not just the drives, like the Intel branded SSDs. It's also the actual NAND, because Intel makes a lot of NAND that goes on SSDs by a ton of different companies. So it's just, this was really surprising story to me. So they're selling off their entire memory division to SK Hynix. The deal covers all the IP licenses in the NAND business and the manufacturing plant in China. So the deal will kick off with a $7 billion payment for the NAND, SSD, IP, and employees. In the next 2 years after that, SK Hynix will acquire everything related to the business, which includes design, R&D engineers, and employees. The only thing that Intel is keeping is their Optane business.
Okay.
And it says the Intel will be using the factory over the next 12 months. The deal is expected to get regulatory approval in late 2021, and the deal will close by March 2025.
I mean, maybe it makes sense for them to just keep Optane in-house, right? And then just rely on getting the NAND from whoever.
Yeah, I mean, there might have been, like, we all have, well, actually we've seen it both ways, for like foundries and things like that. It's a pain in the ass. It's a lot of money, and
let someone else deal with it.
Yeah, let somebody else deal with that, because you can still make your Intel SSDs with the NAND from somebody else. And technically, the NAND from that you've already technically designed, that's just going to be under SK Hynix now. I mean, it's but it's a big win for SK Hynix, for sure. They make a lot of NAND. They make NAND that's on a lot of graphics cards, especially AMD graphics cards. So yeah, that's like one of the more interesting stories. I know we talked a lot about AMD earlier, but that's, for me, that's one of the more interesting stories. And it's a huge sale. I mean, $9 billion is not
no, it's not a small number, but yeah, it wasn't, like you said, didn't get as much news as it probably should have.
Yeah, for sure. This isn't big news, but I definitely wanted to just mention it. It's our last story of the week, is that the first laptop that uses Intel's Discrete Iris graphics. Now, this is not the Discrete card. This is Intel graphics on a CPU. It is the Asus VivoBook Flip 14. The only reason we're talking about it because this is not some awesome laptop. It's not a gaming laptop, but it is the first laptop to use Intel's Iris Xe Max graphics. So that's interesting. It's first iteration, be first time to see it. I don't know if this is, I don't think it came out yet. Yeah, no news on the no news on the launch date. It will be around $1,000 for the laptop. Yeah, so that, like I said, we've heard, obviously all of us want Intel discrete graphics. We've been waiting for that. We want graphics cards, the Intel graphics cards. But we all knew, at least most of us, you should have known that you're going to see it on.
It's not coming to that first.
Yeah. So, but this is progress. Everybody wanted it like in January, like they want a discrete graphics card. I don't think it's going to happen. No. We haven't heard anything for a very long time on Intel discrete graphics cards, but the fact that we're actually going to get a production laptop that has the GPU architecture for, Iris Xe graphics, that is important, I would say.
Yep.
So that would be the first laptop, and then you'll see a bunch that come after it, because again, that graphics architecture is going to be built into their Tiger Lake 10 nanometer CPUs. So yeah, interesting. Exciting. We're finally getting progress. So coming up next week, we have 3 products that we'll be reviewing. I'll be taking a look at.
Saw a typo.
Is there
the Intel 925? Huh?
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an Intel 925. It's an in-win 925 full tower case. Imagine if Intel made cases. That'd be interesting. Yeah. But this is the in-win 925. It is the smaller version of the 928, which is massive. This is still a full tower, and it's really cool. It has a lot of really cool features, stuff that I didn't even realize until I actually took it apart. You can't see it, but it's over here in pieces because I took it all apart to take pictures. So I'll have that. Like I said, it's big. It's all aluminum. It's really, really nice. You can do a lot with it. Obviously, my build inside's not going to be water cooling or anything like that. But yeah, I'll have that there for you. And then we have 2 storage reviews. So Paul will be taking a look at the T-Force Vulcan G. This is from Team Group. Of course, T-Force is their gaming brand. So this is a 2.5-inch typical SSD. It's good to see some other SSD options, especially Team Group stuff is not as popular in the US, but they do make good products. So it'll be good to see kind of what their typical SSD offering is. So we'll have that. And then we were talking about SK Hynix. I will be taking a look at so SK Hynix typically makes NAND. Typically just make NAND. Well, this January when we were at CES, announced
this is what we saw this year, right?
Yeah, they announced their first commercial or first consumer SSDs. One, which was this gold P31, which is a Gen 3 NVMe SSD. It's actually great performance. It doesn't need a heatsink. It doesn't come with a heatsink. It has a sticker. Performs really, really well. And it doesn't overheat. It's just a green PCB.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like about it.
I mean, if it's going on a board that's got a heatsink, that's fine. Or if it's going in a laptop, but we gotta get away from that green PCB.
Yeah. And this is one of the ones that was on sale on Black Friday for I think the 1 terabyte.
Black Friday or for Prime Day? Man, you're
messing it up.
It's that hoodie or that beanie.
It's a beanie. It's just
your brain's getting too hot.
I know, that's probably what it is. But I think this was well under $100 for the 1 terabyte, which is really, really good price. So, but I assume they might have a Black Friday deal on it too. So definitely stay tuned for all 3 of those reviews. And we're coming here to the end. We talk about if we did anything cool, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you done anything? I know you've done.
I
Some
have. I
interesting
was just pulling it up here for you.
Let me put it.
Don't do it yet. I'm just
Tell me
kidding.
when I can add, I can put it on the stream now.
Yeah, go for it. I spent some time getting that put together. So I've talked a lot about wanting to put together a full custom liquid cooling loop in my system, and I finally got around to doing it, and that is the result. So that's just a quick pick I snapped tonight. There's a couple others that a little different lighting. Look,
it looks really good.
I think I'm pretty happy with it. Right, there's some things I don't like. Right now it's just set to like RGB mode on the lighting. So the one thing I don't like about the build is right here. So this is my drain port setup. I'm actually using this port here. It's a full alpha cool custom loop. Everything in here is alpha cool. So on the pump, this port here is the out. This one is typically is the in port. I'm actually using the in on the top of the reservoir so that I can drain the system a little easier, because I actually plan to move this to a different case in the future. And this is where it made the most sense. This is built in the InWin 905, which doesn't have a lot of great options for radiator locations and spacing and everything. So this is what I came up with that would make the most sense for the build. So it's a series, but parallel loop on the GPU and CPU. So they are not in series; they're in parallel for those two devices.
Now, for those who don't know, what does that mean?
So water comes out of the reservoir and pump into the radiator on the bottom. So it comes out here, goes into the radiator, through the radiator, out and into one port on the GPU. In a lot of in a series build, the water would go just through the GPU block and then out one of the GPU fittings through the CPU and then on through the system. Right, so it's in series, one after the other. Whereas the liquid comes in and cycles both through the CPU block and the GPU block at the same time, and then back out and through the rest of the system. It's just it gives a little cleaner look, I think. And it's kind of just a trend right now that people are doing. But I think it looks better.
I'm really surprised. I really like, because this is all soft tubing. It is
soft tubing. Yep.
Yeah, it's all soft tubing. That these small little these small ones right by the CPU.
Sure.
Yeah, those look like they're hard tubing, and I really like the colors. I really like it. Just looks really good. Makes me kind of want to do a water cooling build now.
No, and like this, the reservoir is like super crystal clear. Like I can look over at it right now, and it's just like crystal clear. It looks wonderful. And I'm just using their coolant. Their I forget the exact name of it now. So there's no dyes in it or anything. It's just clear liquid. The tubing is a little bit frosted, so that's why it has that frosted look to it. But yeah, no, I'm happy with it. I think it turned out pretty good.
Nice.
Shinny says he's making that up. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, you're right. It's like about to start on fire because it's so hot. It's like there's no water actually flowing through it. It's just like hard locked in there.
Old Man also said Amnesia, a machine for pigs, is free on Epic right now. There hasn't been. They did have those I don't know, those
the Arkham, the Batman.
Yeah, they had. Yeah. I haven't really followed their free games as much because they've just been kind of
not as great.
But if you want to check that out, go ahead and do that. Anything else going on? Tech related.
Thanks. I had where did that one go? Let's see what that looks like. Nah, never mind. It's not as. I just had a couple other images. Actually, you know what? Go ahead and.
Should I put it up on the screen?
Yeah, go for it. So that's kind of how the loop looks before I modified my in and out ports here. So I originally had the intake coming from this radiator. but switched it around. So that's the difference there. Now the intake is up top here, and this is a drain port. But that's essentially what it looks like directly from the side. Cables are obviously cleaned up and connected to RGB now. This was just a quick little.
Like I said, it turned out really well. I think it looks really good. So
yeah, no, I'm happy with the colors and the build.
Yeah. So shout out to Alpha Cool for hooking us up with all of
the
and water cooling parts.
It took like so much longer because like filming everything and with the build and all that stuff just always takes more time. So
creating
we'll have a video for that.
Creating content is not, for that 3 to 5 minute video is like a lot of work. So yeah. I have been testing, just testing headsets and stuff, and just getting that. We're getting closer to holiday season, so there's a lot of products coming out. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up, a lot of launches coming up as well. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. But we will be jumping on Twitch. We're playing some Apex. I assume since Shinny's in the chat that he will be gaming with us tonight, because we haven't gamed with Shinny and we didn't game with him last week.
Last week was like all sorts of off. He wasn't on. I had to game on my laptop.
Oh yeah, but you were better on your laptop. I remember you were better. Yeah, you were better on your laptop. So
we'll see how it goes tonight.
Yeah, so we'll be over on Twitch. That's where we do all of our gaming. Twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Head on over there. Ryan will have the stream up, and I'll be playing for a little bit. Maybe we'll use these. We'll see. Okay. But Ryan will be on there, and then I'll be joining him, and we hope that Chinny joins, so we have somebody at least good on our team. And that is it, guys. So we appreciate everybody in the live stream and in the chats. It's always great talking with you guys. But if you want to catch us on, if you're listening to this on audio, it's just ThinkComputers, all one word, in your favorite podcasting app, website, whatever it is. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google,